Hey folks, welcome to this special edition MC Commute, coming to you live from the official US press introduction of Suzuki's 2022 Hayabusa. This is an overhauled hypersport bike from Suzuki, designed to go fast and go there in extreme comfort. Let's swing a leg over this thing and tell you what it's like to ride.
Hey folks, here it is, Suzuki's 2022 GSX1300R Hayabusa. This is a third generation overhauled hypersport bike from Suzuki. This motorcycle is all about going fast in a straight line. But for the 2022 model year, Suzuki's done some really nice improvements to make this motorcycle even more versatile. Let's swing a leg over it and tell you what it's like to ride. All right, folks, here we are at the helm of the GSX1300R. I like how Suzuki retained this instrument dash display, but added some new technology in the form of this color TFT rectangular display. You can use this display to set up the various features of the motorcycle. I have the user 1 setting in power mode max, traction control lowest setting 1, lift control lowest setting 1, engine brake 3, and quick shifter 1. And that is how we can access it. I go hit the mode button, and there is user interface 1. So now we have my mode. Let's give her a start, and away we go. I really like these Suzuki Hayabusa hypersport bikes. These motorcycles are set up for a larger humans. If you are a NBA basketball player sized human being, you will like the way this motorcycle fits you. The clip-on controls are stretched out. The clutch and brake lever offer extreme adjustment. If you have huge hands, you can set these levers up to be so far out that I won't barely even be able to reach them. So a lot of adjustment, and this motorcycle is made for folks over 6 foot tall. You don't get to say that a lot in the contemporary power sport world, but this bike is literally made for people over 6 feet tall. Sitting on this bike, the Hayabusa seat's always been really comfortable, really plush, really thick, really well supported. This one feels every bit as comfortable as the old bike. It's a hint lower than its predecessor. And away we go, folks. I like this hydraulic clutch. It gives very nice feel, and it makes the lever squeeze a little bit less. So a very nice touch, and away we go, folks. With a full tank of fuel, this motorcycle weighs 582 pounds. It's very maneuverable for a motorcycle that is that heavy. 4 pounds lighter than the previous 2020 MY Hayabusa. So still a sizable motorcycle, but you'd be surprised how maneuverable this thing is for a bike of its size. Now, Suzuki tweaked the steering geometry on this bike. The steering head is a little bit more relaxed, which Suzuki says they did to increase the stability. Stability was never really a problem on the old Hayabusa, but with its added weight loss, giving up a little bit of agility for more stability isn't a bad thing, because this motorcycle still feels very nimble. This Hayabusa is powered by Suzuki's 1340cc inline 4 liquid cooled dual overhead cam 16 valve. Suzuki fitted this plus size engine displacement, I think, for the 2008 model year, And even though the displacement and architecture is identical as the previous version, the internals of the engine have been modified significantly. Suzuki has a habit of reworking the engines yet retaining the basic architecture. They do that quite often in their engineering. So a lot of changes. The engine's lighter. It also benefits from Suzuki's more modern wet plate clutch with slipper function. Suzuki did some good things with their GSX1300R and GSX1300R for the 2017 model year. They fitted a heavier duty clutch, and this motorcycle employs that technology. That clutch mechanism also has slipper function just like before, so you can downshift and the motorcycle rear wheel won't lock up if you downshift in a too low of a gear for the vehicle speed you are traveling. Now, this Hayabusa engine is good for right around 175 ponies, 173 ponies at the business end of the Bridgestone Batlax S22 tire. Suzuki says top end power is down just slightly compared to the previous version 2020, but the mid-range torque is a little bit higher, so a little bit more torque. The airbox has been redesigned. The airbox is larger, and this 1340cc engine flows more air at lower vehicle speed. It also continues to benefit from ram air intake. So the motorcycle still benefits from ram air intake, which helps flood the airbox with cooler air and keeps that engine humming with propulsion. Right now we are riding in 5th gear, 6th gear. We are pulling just over 3,000 RPM at 65 miles per hour. So I like this powertrain so much because it's just smooth. It's smooth and it's just filled with torque. You can pass cars, you can accelerate from as low as 3,000 RPM. All you do is whack the throttle and the bike just builds nice, gentle momentum. It is awesome. Now, even before this redesign, Suzuki's Hayabusa has been easily the smoothest, most predictably engineered motorcycle Suzuki's ever built. And they've recognized that, and they're building upon that legendary character with this 2022 bike. It's just so smooth, so easy to ride. You could be riding this motorcycle at 140 miles per hour and you literally feel like you're going 60 miles per hour because the bike is just devoid of any unwanted movement. The engine doesn't vibrate excessively. Yes, you can feel a little bit of engine vibration through the clip-ons. You can feel a little bit through the foot pegs, but it's very, very minor, and it's just enough vibration to let you know that you're riding a high-performance sport bike, but not so much that it feels unwanted or annoying. I've ridden this motorcycle, not this one, but Suzuki's previous generation Hayabusa, thousands and thousands and thousands of miles, and those motorcycles are just, they're so good at touring. Like, it was weird that Suzuki didn't make a sport touring version of the Hayabusa, just because it lends itself so well to that application. This 6-speed gearbox has a bidirectional quick shifter. So all you have to do is press up on the gear shift lever and the motorcycle moves into its next forward cog. Conversely, when you downshift, all you have to do is let off the throttle, downshift, and the motorcycle goes into a lower gear. No clutch needed. I love quick shifters. Not only do they make the motorcycle feel faster, but they add a level of stability when you're downshifting. I'm the kind of guy who really likes to go into corners hard and fast. Sometimes I'm downshifting, and when I downshift, the quick shifter affords greater chassis stability, keeps those tires loaded with grip. So well done, Suzuki. I wouldn't say this quick shifter is any better or worse than some of the top quick shifter bikes in the sport bike and super bike segment, but it definitely works really well. This motorcycle drinks from a slightly smaller 5.3 gallon capacity fuel tank, so about 0.2 gallon less fuel capacity. Suzuki says that the fuel capacity was lost to get the shape of the fuel tank and the afford for the larger airbox. Right now we've averaged 32 miles per gallon, so not a very good fuel mileage. These bikes are thirsty. It has such a big engine, and those big pistons just consume a lot of fuel. If you can lug the engine and avoid holding it wide open, kind of like how we're riding now, this thing will net better fuel mileage, but you gotta have a restraint throttle hand. This tripometer has a variety of range functions, so we know we're getting instant MPGs of 44.6. We have 164 miles left on the odometer. Everything's accessed via this switch gear on the left hand side. I like the switch gear on this motorcycle because it's pretty easy to use. It's very logical and it's just easy to figure out. You don't really need the user manual to figure out the vehicle settings on this motorcycle. There's other motorcycles out there that have prettier displays, but setting them up is much more complicated. I'd rather have a more simple, easy to use, functional display than something that's super pretty but overly technical and convoluted. So good job, Suzuki. You guys did your homework and we're paying attention. I love that torque. Yummy, delicious torque that just propels you forward. No fuss, no muss. Suspension on this motorcycle, it feels a little bit more poised than the previous Hayabusa was. Not that the previous Hayabusa wasn't adept, but this suspension just follows the contours of the road a little bit more accurately. It has a little bit more damping control when you're using the brakes or getting on the throttle like we are now. The fork has independent spring preload, rebound, and compression damping adjustment. I also like that the fork isn't a single function fork. There is separate rebound damping or separate cartridges on both sides of the fork leg, and that just gives you more accurate damping control, in my opinion. Some people like the single function stuff, but in my opinion, if you can have double cartridges, that's always the way to go. The shock absorber also has three-way adjustment for spring preload, rebound, and compression damping. I like these OE settings. This motorcycle just seems to be a little bit more balanced than the old Hayabusa. Now, keeping this bike's speed in check is a set of triple disc hydraulic brakes. We have Brembo's Stylema radial mount calipers that grip a larger 320 millimeter diameter rotor, so a little bit larger diameter brake discs. It's a very noticeable change when you look at the front end of the motorcycle, and they're gripped by Brembo's awesome Stylema calipers. I love these calipers. They have a nice rigid feel when you're squeezing back on that brake lever, good stopping power, and the shape of the brake calipers helps brake cooling, so it allows more air to flow over the surface of the caliper and hence cools down those components. The cooler they are, the more you can use them. So, very nice addition. The brakes on this motorcycle, even when Suzuki went to those monoblock Brembos for the 2013 model year, the brakes on the Hayabusa were nothing to ever write home about. This setup is more capable at monitoring the Hayabusa's speed. I also like the big oversized rear brake disc. I'm a big rear brake guy. I love a big rear brake, and this bike has a nice powerful back brake. Good job again, Suzuki. This motorcycle also has linked brakes, so when you use the front brakes in a pinch, it automatically sends some hydraulic pressure to the rear brake circuit. Conversely, if you use just the rear brake pedal, that operates the rear brake pedal independently. So honestly, when I use the front brake, I don't really feel the rear brake actuating very much. But to be fair, also, I like using the rear brake. I use it naturally just out of habit and for greater vehicle and rear suspension action control. So, yep, rear brakes are great, folks. Mirrors. These rear view mirrors are awesome. They show what's going on behind you very well, and they don't shake or vibrate that much. Again, this motorcycle is very, very smooth. Everything it does, from the way you twist the throttle to the way you squeeze the brakes, everything is just in great unison, in harmony. This motorcycle is masterfully developed and calibrated in terms of each of its control inputs. Now, this bike has launch control, and lots of bikes have launch control, but I like how it's easy to enable launch control, and there's 3 RPM limits that allow you to tailor the engine speed that you will release the clutch at. Now, when you're using launch control in an aggressive map on a liter and above size sport bike, these bikes generate so much power that it's easy to munch the clutch plates. Well, if you launch the bike at a lower RPM, it helps reduce clutch wear. And to be fair, these Suzuki Hayabusa, they've always had really strong, durable clutches. These motorcycles are made to launch, to do drag strip launches, repeated drag strip launches. Of course, you don't want to get that clutch too hot, because that's when it'll start melting down. But the ECU of this vehicle has logic built in where it won't let you launch the motorcycle if the vehicle senses that the engine oil and the clutch is running at too hot of a temperature. How cool is that? I think it's a neat thing. I mean, I love doing drag strip race style launches, but you don't want to burn up the clutch. That's expensive. So it's nice to know that the motorcycle actually has programming to help mitigate that. Now, this motorcycle, it definitely has a more sporty ergonomics package, but it's still pretty comfortable. The rear sets aren't too high. They're not too low where you're going to drag hard parts. Definitely, if you're a shorter person or someone with a smaller torso, it's going to be a little bit of a reach to the control, to the clip-ons. But if you're 6 foot or taller, you will like it. Etc. This motorcycle has cruise control. Cruise control is now standard. Thank goodness. That was something that Suzuki was missing in its arsenal for quite some time. So we now have cruise control. Heated grips are available as an accessory. Suzuki, why didn't you put heated grips on this motorcycle as an OE feature? Still, if you want heated grips, which you're gonna want, you can purchase that as an accessory. Now, we talked about the relatively high level of comfort this motorcycle offers for a sport bike. Another cool feature is just the engine. Even though the engine's really big and pumps out a tremendous amount of torque, it doesn't kick off a lot of heat to the rider. There are other sport bike and super bike motorcycles out there that, while fast and powerful, they throw off a tremendous amount of engine heat onto the rider. This motorcycle doesn't. It's a very cool and comfortable ride when you're seated at the helm of this bike. Maintenance. This motorcycle goes 3,750 miles between regular scheduled oil changes. So every 3,750 miles you have to do an oil change. Every 15,000 miles it is recommended that you inspect the 16 valve train to make sure the valves are in spec. So you have to remember, even though this isn't a competition motorcycle, it's not built for racing, this motorcycle is in a very high state of tune. 175 horsepower at the business end of the Bridgestone Batlax. It's a good amount of power. Yes, there are leader class sport bikes out there that make even more power than that, but they also rev to 14,000 RPM. This thing only revs to 11,000 RPM. So a lot of horsepower and performance built into this ride. Another cool little feature I like on this motorcycle, we'll show you real quick, is the rear passenger seat. It pops up and there's a little bit of storage back there. Not a lot, but a little bit. So good job, Suzuki. We are happy that you are paying attention to the details. One feature I do not like on this bike is the puny foot pegs. I love big, humongous, oversized foot pegs, and a little bit more sturdy foot pegs would be a welcome feature on this bike. Alright folks, we're here to do our photo stop now. We'll wrap things up with you after this and give you our final thoughts on this Hayabusa. Alright folks, we're going to show you the launch control real quick. You enable launch control by pressing this button right here, the starter button. You hold that down and then you can adjust the level of launch control. This is low mode, this is medium mode, and this is high mode. We're going to do high mode, show you how this thing launches. I like how slick this interface is. On a lot of the other motorcycles these days, the modern day superbikes, getting into the launch control menu is a little bit cumbersome. This is super straightforward, and that 3 increment light RPM limit is sick too. So if you want to be easiest on the clutch, you do this mode. If you want to get a little bit better start, you still be a little bit hard on the clutch, that mode. And this mode is the real deal. So we're gonna give her the beans, guys. Let's do it real quick. Let's go up here and we'll do it. All right, here we go. Yes, awesome. Now let's give her the beans. Yes, the beans. This is awesome. I love how fast this motorcycle goes. What a hoot it is to ride.
Well folks, that was a fun morning riding on the Suzuki's 2022 GSX1300R. Suzuki has done a nice makeover on this motorcycle, but of course it stays true to the Hayabusa roots. It's comfortable, it's fast, it's smooth, it has a little bit more forgiving handling. The suspension calibration is a little bit better, the brakes are a little bit sharper. We now have electronics, cruise control. The launch control is a really nice feature. I like the ability to tune all of the electronics easily using the logical and intuitive switchgear. But at the same time, I wish this bike had a little bit more for a $3,800 upcharge compared to the 2020 Hayabusa. This bike just lacks a little bit of pizzazz for my taste. Still, if you are looking for the most high-tech, high-quality, still fast, still comfortable, still a great motorcycle from Suzuki in form of this 2022 GSX1300 Hayabusa, I think you will enjoy this motorcycle. All right, folks, that's a wrap from today's special edition MC Commute. Make sure to tune on in to motorcyclistonline.com. That's where all the content lives. Check out the other videos we have. Thumbs it up, thumbs it down. And thank you for leaving a mechanical key on this bike, Suzuki. We are pumped. Good job. All right, folks, see you later.